Hey, great, it's Wednesday the 22nd of September 2021, believe it or not. How time flies by in these quests. So we're pretty much sort of a week and a half through our leg of the quest itself. This is quest 33, so it's got two avenues to it, two aspects, the Irish Line and the Great Airler. They go hand in hand, really. But we're in All Saints Church in Templetown. It's amazing. This church obviously is on a lot older site, as we often know, but this particular building was blessed and erected on the 20th of May 1899. So that's quite interesting as well. 4 days before my birthday. There we are. So as we go around, I'll just give a plug in on that one. You can see it's a very well looked after church, very clean, very tidy. I like the fact they've got the little offerings and the candles, as you do in most places, really. Fleur de lis is a really big sign here, and it's understandable, really, because it is suggested that the Grail may have been in this area, not in this particular building, but been on this particular land quite some time ago and spent a little while here. If you look at my next book, there's sort of tracks and traces that will be in there regards to the Grail and its path, or supposed path, and how it went through. And it screams that, it screams Templarism, it screams Franciscan styles, it screams all sorts of things regards to the Grail itself, and Arthurian legend as well, which is quite interesting. If we can just pan up there for a moment, that's the first section to probably look at. And we can see we've got the cup and the offering above it, which is quite nice. But what's really interesting about that is the colours, and that's what we need to really be focused on. We've got blue, green, grey, yellow, red. And they're the really important colours. Blue, green, grey, yellow, red. That's your 5 colours, that's your 5 senses. Now, whether it was ever done that way, I'm not quite sure, but you've got the 2 swords, the 2 crosses, the 2 swords there, 2 swords again here, so chivalry. Certainly a very good aspect. The whole church is lovely, and it's got all these, I mean, some would say, oh, they're just Maltese crosses, but they're not. They're very much of a Templar style basis on the crosses, all the way on every single pew as we go along. I say for 1899, we're looking at 122 years. It's pretty impressive that it's stood the dawn of times. On this lovely hillside, it's in a very prominent position, as churches were back in the day. Certainly in the Victorian periods coming through, they were prominent, and new ones. I love the fact that they put the old with some kind of modern decor as well. And if you can see just over here, on this section here, we've got all that wonderful fleur de lis, almost like the flowers going round. As we know, the fleur de lis is the lily. So we just go around there, we can see that. And then we've got all these lovely little roses. They are meant to be roses that go round as well, which is quite nice. We've got the lily and the rose. Again, prominent flowers within the culture, the time, the history, everything. Most of the churches will have the series of the events of the alleged death of Christ. And what's interesting, I don't know whether you notice or not, but we've seen already a lot of red crosses going across, but both sides of the central ones have the 2 blue crosses. So I'm going to call them swords, because they're more swords than crosses, really, to be fair, if we think of it in that context. Much more. And here we've got the purple. So could it be the purple of the craft? Who knows? But there's purple in these ones as well. And the same on the other side. You know, both central aisle aspects here, both central parts of the building have the blue, the rest are in red. So that's quite good. If we just focus up to the top windows there, although they're fairly plain in their design, we can see that they've got the adjusted cross, the Neville cross, but they've got that adjusted cross on top of another cross, on top of a square, which then is surrounded within a circle. And then the rose petals around the outside. It's a wonderful, wonderful design. So, you know, what is the angle of 90 degrees, or the 4th part of a circle? A square. And we can see we've got a slightly offset square in the middle there. The 4th part of the circle is indeed a square, as it shows there in the design. Is it just geometrics? Is it just mathematics? I think it's a little bit more than that, to be fair. It's got some very clever design to it. Going down here, you can see this is a beautiful piece of the church. You really get a sense of wellness and energy here in this particular area. And I do enjoy it. So I quite liked the actual remembrance stone and its graphic here, because again we've got the offset cross, but we've got a cross and we've got a chalice. And I don't know how much detail you can see there. You've got a Maltese cross, a Templar cross in the middle of the chalice there, which is quite interesting. So it acts as two things really. It could almost be something else. From a Masonic level, that certainly seems quite Masonic in its sense. Over here on this particular window, we've got some interesting parts. We've got the Sacred Heart, obviously, but what's interesting about the Jesus in this particular representation, he's only holding up one finger, where normally he's using the salute of the two fingers and a thumb. But on this one on his right hand, he's only sort of beckoning the right, it's almost a beckoning to the lady that's kneeling there in purple, no doubt. Again, another reference to the purple, another reference to the craft. If we just come to the right-hand side of this window, you might have to come right over. Again, it's hard to see because the Sacred Heart Jesus is covering it, rightly or wrongly. You see the wonderful, intricate design of the flowers and the harvest there. And that's quite keen in many circles. So just in that far right-hand side here, we can see the actual main parts, which is quite nice. Again, no surprise and no stone left unturned, excuse the pun. We have the fleur-de-lis carpet here as well, so everything's based on fleur-de-lis, and it's amazing. And if we just look at the high altar here, just so I don't know how much you can zoom into that at all to see, but if we just look at those wonderful little decors going around, the little things, you can see we've got the rose again. Yeah, we've got an angel. I don't know if you can make out the angel there, the wings. And here we've got a rather interesting symbol. It's almost like a sort of widdershins shape. So it's got some very interesting, intricate details to it. That's most certain. Because we're near the sea, we're just up the road at Templetown, so not far from Fevard, about a 5-minute drive really. It's quite nice that we've got the shells there and the anchors have been made into a unilateral cross, which is quite interesting there. And again, we've got the said saint, but in this time, just raising a hand up, the right hand up, which is quite nice. Must pay a particular attention to the far back wall here. And what we have is 3 absolutely perfect. Now there's a Grail clue in there as well, if you believe in the Grail. The full Grail clue is the far right hand side one we can see. So that'll be just to show you, that's that one there. That's the full Grail symbol, so I don't know how much you can zoom into that at all, or see it, just to give it a little shot there. We've got then the Lamb of God. Now we know the Lamb of God isn't about the sacrifice, as much often it's represented. It's more about the sign of innocence. So from a central point of view, we have the innocence that leads to 2 paths. Now one would take you to the heart-shaped urn to the left, which is death. And the one to the right, which is your Grail clue, that would certainly take you to the areas of eternity, because of the way, if you look at the intrinsic way the shape and pattern is, it's taking you down the spiral staircase, down the rabbit hole, taking you right through. So that's quite nice. Again, we've got the 2 Templar crosses there on the top part of that particular monument. Absolutely lovely. And we've got some kind of Greek aspect going on here, which I quite like, either side. So quite a Greek aspect. We've got the keys there, keys to the kingdom. And we've got here the staff, the spear of wisdom, the staff of a destiny, possibly. Window-wise, beautiful window design there. got some really good representations, very colourful. Again, I draw your attention to the bottom right section where it says St Aidan. And if we can just go down to the bottom right section of that window to St Aidan. Yep, we can just see there, St Aidan's there, and we have the four leaves with the fifth column. So that's a phraseology that's used in Grail research. The four leaves and the fifth column. I'll share that on video. So that's quite important to remember that, the four leaves and the fifth column. So, and this is quite amazing. I've never seen anything like this as we come down here to what would be the Lady Chapel. It's absolutely divine. It's absolutely gorgeous. What they've allowed the garden, almost the Garden of Gethsemane, but they've allowed the garden to be inside the church, and it's just truly amazing. I love everything about it. It's old mixed with new. It's life with afterlife. It's everything that you really want, really, to be fair. Absolutely amazing. That's truly amazing. Just bring your attention to the top part of that window. If we can just go straight up to the top part where we can see the angel in the central part. There's some interesting wording there that I'll leave it for anyone's research. I don't know how much you can zoom into there. So as I say, the Lady Garden is truly magnificent, really. And as we can see there, if we just focus on the top part of that, I'll leave it to your own research. There's some interesting words on the angel at the top there. Interesting pyramid designs as we come down. Love the idea of the staff being a rod with flowers on the left-hand side there. That's quite interesting as well. But this little garden here is truly amazing. I don't know how much of that you can really see. I think you have to be here to appreciate it, really. It's truly amazing. I love the fact that here at the main font, again we've got the Templar Cross, Maltese Cross, Templar Cross, lovely colours, red, gold and white, lovely. And I quite enjoy the fact that we've got the monk here holding the baby ready for christening, ready for baptism, ready for christening. So the prayer to St Anthony, I would assume that's meant to be St Anthony, but it's a lovely little picture there. We can see just here on the windows, as we can see, we've got the blue swords and the purple stone, the purple part in the middle, which is quite nice. And just as we travel down, again we can just see all the representations of the alleged death of Jesus. But you do get a sense of real peace and tranquility, I guess. So both sides of the church have a different feel about them. Isn't that lovely, the actual bell ring? Here again, in the original confession boxes, we can see again the fleur-de-lis is very prominent indeed. But all in all, a wonderful church, worth a visit, prominent on the landscape, aspects of the Grail, coding to the Grail, very much interesting to, if you ever get the opportunity in your lifetime, in this lifetime, to see at All Saints Church in Templetown in Ireland. Wednesday the 22nd of September, we're still on Quest 33. We've arrived in a beautiful seaside village, or sea fishing village really, of Duncannon on the Hook Peninsula. I love that, the Hook Peninsula. It sounds wonderful, doesn't it? And it is really wonderful. We're at the Star of the Sea Church, established and built in 1896 when it was obviously consecrated. So it's gone over its 100 year, its millennial year already, which is quite interesting, or 100 years. And first thing to show you will be this. Isn't that lovely? Modern little stained glass window there. Love the way the cross is on there. Love the way we've got the shell because of the sea. could almost be representation of the Fisher King. Who knows? But the first thing I note about this church that's really unusual is the fact that it's got two fonts. So you've got one here, and then we've got just one over there as well, which is amazing. Two fonts. Which is very, very unusual for any type of church, really, I guess. So, yeah, it's just quite an interesting little cliche for here. The stained glass windows are absolutely amazing. If we can go up just to show you briefly the winged dove. Now, it's what I like about this particular representation. It's flying downwards, not upwards. Most doves are flying upwards to the sky, to heaven. This one's flying downwards from heaven. So that's a really interesting piece on stained glass. The church itself services the village. Again, like most churches back in the day, it would have been full to the brim with parishioners every Sunday morning, which innocently we can see there's enough pews here to sink a battleship. Clearly, in today's world, most churches, as I mentioned before, are lucky to get 30 people in on any particular service. I want to draw your attention, I don't know how easy it will be this side, I guess, to the actual artwork on the actual main vaulted ceiling, which is absolutely wonderful. We've got the central cross, we've got the rose, we've got built in there, we've got the 4 bells, we've got the fleur-de-lis, only how well you can see the style of the fleur-de-lis there. But there's so much detail in that wonderful, wonderful ceiling. It makes it almost feel very medieval. So although it was only consecrated in 1896, at the time the very Reverend Nicholas Power was the Reverend here. It gives that medieval feel to it with its wonderful vault. I almost feel like I'm walking through a banquet hall. It feels that way. Usual confession box on each side for each parishioners. Not quite sure how much they use these days, but they're there anyway because they were built for the time and the purpose. I think the next thing to say is about the high altar itself. When we get there, we just get a wonderful feel about this church as we walk through it. It's marvellously kept clean. Nice to see it open, obviously. What's particularly nice, if we can see roses, red and whites, lovely, and exactly what I expect to see on this particular altar at the start. There's a nice little red rose there as well. Now, the next thing to show you, which is quite interesting as well, is we've got 4 angels round the base of the main part of the high altar on the vaulted ceiling. I don't know how much you can see those 4 angels there. So at the base of each, yeah, we've got it, there we are. So they represent the high angels, the high chord, as we refer to the actual angels, but in modern day term they refer to archangels. So the 4 main archangels are referred to there, which is really, really nice. I like the fact again that the staff of wisdom, we've got the keys to the kingdom with St. Peter. Now let's pay particular attention to St. Bridget, the central piece there. And with St. Bridget we can just see there, that's brilliant, the colours that she's wearing is green. The book that she's carrying is blue. That's very, very significant. And we have 2 blue flowers to the base of her right leg. So very interesting points there in regards to anyone on the Grail hunt and Grail clues. So St. Bridget is very much a big issue here in Ireland, big issue here on the Grail, and anyone here in the time. So very interesting indeed. If we just take a very quick look over here to the right window, the central window is nice enough, it's more there for representation. The clues are the central with the king and the sword, and if we can just see that what he's actually how he's actually holding that sword, it's very much in a knightly, virtuous way, although it's St. Catherine. But to me it looks like a man, but it's actually St. Catherine, so it's meant to be a lady. I think that's a little play on the artistry there, really, to be fair, but it's very interesting indeed. So, yeah, I mean, a little short video there just to show you the church itself. Star of the Sea Church in Duncannon, lovely little working fishing village. Reminds me a little bit of Port Isaac, same sort of place really. And there we are.